Hey guys, how are you? So, I have been getting the prompt to share this. Well, I knew I was meant to share it the moment these things happened. I just haven't been in the right head and heart space in order to do as such. So, but now I'm getting a very strong prompt and the motivation just surfaced to do this right now, so I'm gonna go with it. So I just wanted to share with you guys a few moments that I've had recently when it comes to the Galactics and so experiencing Galactics and God, our true self. And this I know that this is part of the results of the work I've been putting in on myself. Um, if this was a year or two ago, I wouldn't have experienced some of the things that, well, not some, these things that I have experienced, which I'll get into all that per thing, because there's been, with some of it, I've experienced a little bit, but not to this extent. So with that being said, I've got my notepad on my other phone here open because I know what I want to talk about, but just in case, I just made a list of the, what is it, one, two, three, four, five moments. I just made noted each of those moments just for easier for my illusioned ego human mind. So the first one, OBE, out of body experience. I've tried I've tried since I was, I think, a teenager. I've tried for a lot of my life, um, in my illusion past, in my illusion timeline, to OBE, and I've never been able to. Um, Now, though, since my awakening, I've had moments where, um, it's been when I've had my legs lifted up. So it's like my body is like the avatar is laying still, but then it's like my legs, which the physical legs are laying still, but it's like my legs, because we're not the body, so my legs are being lifted up and then like just move back and forth like this, and like around in circles like this. And it's usually, well, it has always been Eric, Archangel Uriel, who's been standing at the end of the bed holding my feet and doing that with my legs. And I know it's him helping me, which is really me helping myself. We're all one and whatnot. Energy, I'm one with, playing as I'm allowing as that character. Um, Helping me get used to detaching from the body. Again, saying that with the acknowledgement of we're not actually inside a body having an illusion human experience. We're home, God, now imagining this inside ourselves. So we're imagining the human body inside ourselves. We're not inside a human body experiencing this. So with that acknowledgement, he was helping me like start to learn, not learn, but start to detach and get used to detaching from the body. And it started with my legs. Just a couple weeks ago, like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, and it was my entire body lifted up, starting with like my feet and my legs, and everything lifted up out except for like the top of my shoulders and my head and neck. Obviously my top of my shoulders, neck, and head. So with that, I almost fully have detached, have had a full OBE, where I'm conscious as Tally in this. So that's really cool. And again, that is result of the work I've been putting in. Like I said, I've tried for many years to do this, and nothing. But now that I've put in this work, so fully facing and embracing and feeling where I'm playing pretend at, and then doing the mental cleanup when I'm ready, and then continue to work on surrendering, and when I'm able to follow any joy I'm feeling and follow love, and sit with truth, and then repeat as necessary. So this is a result of that. So I'm quite excited, not as in like a really uppity manic excited, but there's that just like happiness on a certain level, excitement, joy, um, under that umbrella about that progress that I've made. Sorry, my nose ring is and my nose is just really bugging me right now. So if I'm like keep wiping it, it feels tickly, but there's like nothing there. And it's not spirit. Well, I mean everything is spirit, and unless it's loving, it's not real. But it's not that it's like spirit booping at my nose right now. It's just there's a spot that's just so if I'm scratching at it, it's just being tickly, itchy, and it's just bugging me. Anyway, so side note for that. So that was really cool, and I'm really grateful for that. And I know that this is, this is quote unquote just the beginning. Now, as for the Galactics, again, this is going to be quick and brief, but it was for me, it was cool, and I'm really grateful for it. Again, this was just in like the past 2 weeks. I was laying in bed at night, and I was, if I'm remembering correctly, I was in a more of a meditative state. I know I would have been trying to be in that space because I know I was laying in bed and it was quiet and I didn't have any devices on or anything like that. So I would have been at least trying to be in a meditative state. And I think I was kind of more in a bit of a more of a blanked out meditative state by the time this kicked in. And I can't explain properly how I knew it was the Galactics. I can't remember if I was possibly thinking of the Galactics before this happened. I have a feeling, I honestly can't remember if I was or wasn't. I can't remember if I was or wasn't. I actually just remembered a sixth thing I wanted to share. But anyway, so I can't remember if I was or wasn't thinking of the Galactics before this. If I was, that would have been a more obvious opening of my allowing them through. If I wasn't, I don't really know if I was, that this kind of helps explain how I knew it was the Galactics, but outside of that, I don't really know how to explain that I knew that it was. You just can kind of feel it. You just know. I know that kind of might sounds like a cop-out type of answer, but I really don't know how else to explain it than that. You just feel it, you just know. And I heard in my head, here to help. Which again, I'm saying all of this acknowledging Galactics are, I'm one with them. It's energy I'm allowing to play as it is, all that stuff, the zoomed out truth. With that being said, I heard in my head, here to help. And then I felt stroking on my hair at the top of my head, and it felt really nice. And the love was just so, it was just so big, and just, I almost, not even almost, I felt it was very much feeling like a feeling of like a child with a very loving parent. Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. It was like a child with a very loving parent. It just, the love was just so, and but it, like bigger than that though. Like I don't know if you might understand what I'm saying in this, but there was less of an illusioned ego human density to this love that you might feel when it comes to parental stuff. Because like with parents and with anyone really, you can feel the illusion of judgment with whatever, anything with them. I'm not thinking of anything specifics and that we're in constant judgment, but within this illusion, we judge each other, and parents judge their children and children judge their parents, and yada yada yada. And yada yada yada. But with this, it was like, so that's what I'm saying. It was more than that, because again, it's kind of hard to describe. It's like you can almost feel how there's not that layer of judgment there, if that makes sense. For me, I've always felt that like working with the Galactics very much feels like working with spirit, because the Galactics, like there's this whole thing in the spiritual community about there's evil Galactics and some Galactics are bad. Really, there is no evil and there is no bad. And for me, anytime I've experienced the Galactics, it's always been loving. I've even had reptilians thank me for seeing them for what they really are, because I won't sit in this fear that reptilians are evil. Do I have that fear inside myself? Yes, even right now, I can feel that fear rising up, saying, because I just mentioned them. I'm going to circle back to this other stuff in a second. I'm just explaining. Um, so I do have that illusion of that fear inside myself, but I won't anchor onto it as truth. And I'll do my mental cleanup, and I'll acknowledge I'm one with them, and we are love, we're God, and we're all playing as we're allowing ourselves to play pretend as. So for me, it's the truth, because that's what the truth is. Everything is love. And when I experienced the Galactics, it's very loving. And in that moment, again, the love was just so big and so, and just it feels less filtered than the illusion of the human ego love. There's still ego love that I'm filtering through with Galactics, but it's still tapping into more of the true love, and I can feel that, and I could definitely feel that night. It felt so nice physically feeling them stroking my hair, but then also the love feeling that I was feeling off of them was just really beautiful. It's actually making me want to cry. So that was really cool. And again, results the progress that I've been, the progress results from the work I've been putting in on myself. So that was really cool as well. And I'm grateful for that. And now getting into my experiences with, well, before I get into that, I'm going to jump ahead in the illusion of the timeline, because I'm doing it kind of like from the furthest thing that happened to like the most recent, but I'm going to jump to the most recent, and then I'm going to backtrack again for a second. So I want to say this morning, because for me it's still the same day, but technically, because it's like, what time is it? It's almost 4 in the morning. So so technically yesterday, I was sleeping and I woke up. Was this yesterday or the night before? Doesn't matter. Within the past 24 hours, I woke up from sleeping. Oh yeah, it was 2 in the morning, so it was about just over 24 hours ago. I woke up at 2 in the morning, and as I was waking up, I heard in my head, "Angels are kissing you all over your face." And again, that's what the acknowledgement that everyone is an angel, and angels, it's all God source love. Um, and very strong, definitely very strong prompts. I knew I was meant to quote unquote share that message with, like, not quote unquote share that message with quote unquote everyone. Um, so that was really lovely to hear that. And I appreciate that. So there you go. Angels are kissing you all over your face. And now to go back a little bit. So now that was the second most recent. That happened, like I said, 2 in the morning yesterday. Um, the most recent, I'll finish off with that in a few, after I get to these next two. So backtracking a little bit. And the reason why I jumped to that one next is because these next three things have to do more directly with like God itself, God ourself. So I wanted to lump those three together. So backtracking a bit, again, this was just within the past like week or two, very recent. I was again laying in my bed. It was night, don't know what time it was, and I had my eyes closed. And I had been focusing in on Eric, Archangel Uriel, connecting with him and visual with him. He just tickled my heel, well, the bottom of my heel, like on the pad of my foot. Focusing in on him. I feel like I might have had been in a place of insecurity about myself again from, I know I'm not the body and all that, so excuse me, I know it's contradictory, but insecurities about my body and just about my character, like as Tally, just everything about me. I think that stuff was surfacing, even just a little bit, I think. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, as much as I was like, trying to focus and connect with Eric, I think I think, and this is what kicked this in, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, I decided that I was like, okay, I'm going to also try to focus on God, my true self, our true self. I think, if not, this just, regardless, the visual ended up taking over, because I was in a space of focusing in on and connecting with Eric. And then I had the thought of, if I remember correctly, I had the thought of connecting and like, talking with God, my true self, our true self. And then that's when everything kind of shifted to like, I was purposely focusing on something to it just taking over. It's hard to explain other than that. Like, there's visuals that you can get, that you can put yourself into, and you can focus and you can make it, and then things kick in and happen. But then there's visuals that happen where that just happens without you even trying. And that's what ended up happening with this. And I just remember I was in white light, and Eric was standing beside me, and this tall looking if you've seen Big Hero 6, you guys know Baymax. I'm gonna try excuse me, I'm gonna try to take a screenshot of Baymax and put it up. I don't know if that's gonna be a copyright thing. Maybe I won't do that. I don't know how this copyright stuff works with YouTube, especially when it comes to Disney. So I think I might just leave that out. But like, if you don't know what Baymax looks like, just Google him and you'll see. So it was a character. And the thing is, I've seen Big Hero 6, but it wasn't when it first came out. It took me a while to watch it because I had a feeling it might have made me cry. So I put off watching it, but I watched it. It was like, I would say it's definitely been over a year since I've seen it. Like, it's been a while. And there's been nothing that's been popping up on my social media about it. There was no reason that I can think of. I mean, I might have been thinking about Big Hero 6 lately, but I don't think I was before this. I think after this I got thinking about and was having the urge to watch it, but not before. Regardless, there was no physical anything going on in my life for anything for Big Hero 6 to come up. So I'm in this white light standing with Eric, and I see this tall Baymax looking being coming toward us. And it comes up to us and it scoops us up into this big bear hug and holds us like against its like torso. And the moment it did, God, words are so limiting. I know they don't have to be, but in a sense they are, though. Like, the words are so limiting. I wish I could we had like our true telepathy online right now in this, and I could just, like show you guys that way, because it's so much easier than trying to explain it verbally. This is going to sound kind of anticlimactic, and it's going to sound simple, but it was so big. I can feel the wanting to cry coming up, and not a bad cry. It's just because it was just so, the moment we were scooped up, it was just like this entire feeling flooding everything in my being of just, everything's okay. Everything's okay. It was like all of my fear, and I know it's illusion. I know there's no punishment or judgment, but still clinging to any of that illusion of any fear of punishment, any fear of judgment, all of my insecurities, all of my unworthiness, all of my humbleness, all of my, I'm not worthy to face God, and I'm not worthy of having these powers, and like our true limitless and true powers. And, I'm insecure about this and I'm insecure about that. Any anxiety that I've been feeling about anything, all of it just gone, and just a full, complete, not just feeling, but just my being as well. My foot just got touched on the bottom of my foot. My entire being was just, everything's okay. Everything's okay. And it was like being held by, I struggle using the word parent, because for me, there can be, in my illusions, when it comes to parents, I'm just going to say on a general level, there can be a lot of toxicity when it comes to parenthood. and how people can parent. You hear many, many stories of what parents can be like. So it's really hard for me to use the word parent because there can, within illusion, there's a lot of illusion, ego, judgment, and illusion, ego stories when it comes to parents and being abusive and toxic and all that stuff. So it's really hard for me to use the word parent because of that, because this has none of that with it. But I don't know what other word to use. So it was like being held by this beyond ethereal, beyond loving parent, something that's bigger than the word parent. And like, yes, it's God because it's God, but like to describe the feeling, it was like just being held by this beyond, like this loving, this loving, unconditionally loving, beyond parent. Like, parent is just not a good enough word for it, but I don't know what other word to use. I mean, yes, we can say God, but again, because God can be, we're still clinging to so much of the illusion of separation of God and judgment of God. I don't know. It's hard to explain because yes, it's God, but to explain the feeling of it in a way that we understand with our comprehension levels and our illusioned experiences, to be able to put it in a way that we can understand and possibly, what's the word, not associate, help us understand, like, for who's listening to this, they can maybe tap into that feeling, with you utilizing these words can help them tap into that feeling on a certain level. So it was just so beautiful and so big and just so, like I said, just everything is okay. Sorry, I'm not crying because it's bad. It's just such an amazing feeling, going from, you don't even realize necessarily the level of the illusion of anxiety and fear and whatnot that you have until it's completely sucked out of you. Like, and that's just it. It wasn't even in this space, it wasn't even that it was sucked out of me. It was just immediate, just everything just immediately switched. Like, it was just like blinking your eyes. Like, just you go from this state to this state. And I'm really grateful I got to experience that. And actually, I remembered another thing I wanted to share too that I forgot to mark down. So 7. But so, kind of as a side note, going on with this feeling that I'm talking about, I think I've made another video before about how when I was asleep in this, my body was asleep in this, and my memory is where I'm in my parents' basement in the living room where I used to live, and I'm facing the wall, and I'm vibrating really hard to the point that it's like hurting, and I look beside me and I see like a dark version of myself. And I start getting pulled to the wall, and I knew as I knew I was going to be entering the wall, and as I was getting closer and closer to the wall, the vibrating got harder and harder, and and it was hurting. And I was telling myself, don't resist. If I resist, the worse it'll be. So just let it happen. So I let it happen. It hurt and it was uncomfortable, but I let it happen. And as I went to like hit the wall, I entered it, and I was in the dark space, which I've been feeling, and what I receive is the void, or what we can call the void, which is, on a sense, a more of a reflection of what we truly are. For me, it was because for me, when I experienced the void, it was when I went into this dark space, the void. It was just like, some people experience it as like a nightmare hell scenario illusion simulation, but that's just, it's because it's like a spiritual car wash. You have to face your shit and feel it. So that's like a very strong opportunity to face and feel our shit and then do mental cleanup on it. For me, because I'm doing that work in this, when I experienced the void, this was just such a beyond ethereal, blissful peace and calm, and I didn't want to leave. And I was there for a few moments, and all of a sudden I was just back in this, and my muscles were hurting. I was sobbing like a freaking newborn baby, and it just sucked. I wanted to go back. Still want to go back. And actually the other night, and this is why I wanted to share this as well, the other night, again, I was in bed, and I was actually in a really insecure space. My illusion, my ego was surfacing, and Eric was feeling very strong, and I was trying to run from him. And so I make myself dark, and I move myself through this dark space, and I'm like trying to go, and and I'm screaming, trying to, like, in my head I'm screaming, trying to, like, block out he was playing a beautiful song for me, and I was trying to block that out. And then all of a sudden the darkness just like what I was saying with like God as Baymax holding us. It was like I went just immediately from one state to another. It was like the darkness just switched immediately. It was like all of a sudden this darkness that I was in was just, and I just felt this calm and this peace, and I couldn't run. And it was like I didn't even want to run, and I couldn't if I wanted to. It just I ended up in the void while I was conscious in this, which again, huge result of the work I've been doing, huge progress to be able to enter that while I was conscious in this. I didn't have to fall asleep, and I entered into that space, and that was in the space of my running from spirit and God. But I ran right into the void. And again, just this beyond peaceful, calm bliss. So I wanted to share that as well. And that just surfaced because like I said, being held by God as Baymax was just this, like I said, this everything is okay. And all of this feeling of upset and worry and anxiety and all just gone. And just from this state to that state. And then same with the void, from this state to that state. That simple. And that quick, that easy, that just instant switch, like blinking your eyes. Without trying, blinking it, like when you're not, like when, like, I mean, which I'm assuming you probably understood, but just to clarify, I don't mean like when you purposely blink your eyes, like when you do it without even thinking. It's like that easy. And then this was about several days to a week after the Baymax moment. So again, with only in the past week, I was in the past week, again, I was laying in bed, and I know I would have been, again, trying to meditate, probably trying to connect with Eric. I don't remember what led up to this. I cannot remember if I had gone into a space where I wanted to focus on God. I really can't remember. I don't remember what led up to this. What I do remember, though, and and it's kind of funny. I know it's almost like I know I can't remember because the leading up to it isn't what's important. What was important is what happened. And that's what my memory is. And it makes sense because of what this was. So, I'm laying there in the dark, and I have my eyes closed, and, I'm in this dark space, but in the center of my vision is this, here, actually, I'll show you. I can show you. I have it up on I took a screenshot of a picture, and then I edited it a little bit, to make it look more of like what I saw. So it looked like this. I might, because it's kind of, you almost can't, like the lights makes it a little bit, I might try and take a shot of this and put it over the video instead of just seeing this. So we'll see what I do. But it was like, so all the outside was dark like this. And there was this white light with like this goldish white light. The outside, like that orange tinge was not there. There was no orange tinge, but how it's like kind of like, it's not perfectly circular on the outside. It was definitely like that, but there was no orange tinge. And then in the center was a perfectly circular black circle. So this is basically exactly what I was looking at. Anyway, so, and right away I was like, I knew I was seeing God, like the light was God, our true self. And with the black circle, I was like, oh, it's the eye of God. Like right away I was like, eye of God, And then what was interesting is when I had that thought, and again, this was all happening without my trying, like, and this light, well, I'll get to that in a second. So it was like, um, so this would be the right, so it would have been, see, I feel like it flips on the camera when I turn it this way. So for me, like looking at it this way, I would say it's here, but I think for like camera's sake, because it flips, we'll say it like this side, like, because it would have been, it's left, my right, if that makes sense. So for me, so yeah, so I think like for me looking at it when I turn it this way, so I think for just for sake, like it was like this part, it was almost like on a hinge. Oh, there we go. That's even better. That's even better. That was like all dark except that. And it was like this part here, it was almost like it was on a hinge. So like the circle like fell over and it was like hanging on this part for a second. And then it dropped down into the dark and it was gone. And then it was just all the white light. Like, so there was still the blackness all around, but then it was just all just white light, no black circle. Um, and, oh, I didn't mean to close that. And, and the moment it fell away, again, I knew that I was looking straight at, like, this was God, source, our true self that I was looking at. And what was interesting is, and I've had this feeling before when I've had a couple moments in the past year where I thought that I was actually transitioning out. I won't get into detail as to how or why. Um, but there's been a couple moments where I genuinely felt like I was transitioning, and the anxiety and fear kicked in, and it was very much a feeling of, I'm breaking a rule by letting this go, a rule or a law. I'm breaking a rule or a law, and it's not okay. Um, when I was looking at God's source, it gave me that same feeling. So it wasn't like I was feeling anything bad off of the light, but it felt like I was breaking a rule or a law. Like it felt like I was doing something wrong by looking at this light. And I'm gonna read to you guys because I kind of knew this. Hang on. So it's like I already knew this. Not even kind of. It's like I already knew this, but just getting the explanation again and hearing it again, and in a way that cemented a bit deeper. I'm gonna read what Julie had said to me. Excuse me about this because her words are better than what I'm gonna be able to say. In my opinion, anyway. So the way Julie explained it, again, sorry, my nose ring. The way Julie explained it, she said, and I'll link her YouTube again in the description. But what Julie said was, that feeling that you broke a rule, it's like we signed a contract with ego, not literally, and that's just it. There's no literal contracts. This whole thing about their soul contracts and all that, there's not literal contracts. So we can let that go. So she goes, not literally, but we did commit, and it feels that strong. And now we're breaking that ancient contract. There's no penalty for it. The whole idea and experience of penalty is in the ego experience, not outside of it. We just return fully to the love we are without penalty, but we're so used to, quote unquote, holding ourselves under and attaching to the density of the ego that it feels, quote unquote, wrong in the sense of violating an agreement. I'm given the example of roller skating. Sometimes after you take your roller skates off and go back to normal shoes, it feels weird to walk again for a bit, but then you adjust. So that in breaking with the ego, it feels weird, but you do go back to normal, which is emanation of what you are, and experiencing the emanation of what you are with everyone and everything beyond all limit. And then I had responded saying, yeah, it's a really strong feeling of breaking a rule or a law. I was wondering why I didn't feel that when I faced God with Eric, God, our true self with Eric, when it looked like Baymax and lifted us up, and I felt how everything is okay. But I'm thinking it's because that was an even more filtered version of God than seeing God as this light. So the ego freaked out with seeing God less filtered. And then her response was, yes, that seems right. You were, quote unquote, stepped up to what seems more like pure light so you could meet it without too much fear. And you will continue to be stepped up like that. We have to let go of the fear, but, quote unquote, they provide all this assistance and support in helping us let go of the fear step by step. So that, and that makes sense. And I knew that, but it just helped hearing having her give me that reminder and saying that, and her words are better than, like I said, better than what I'd be able to say. But that's why I got that feeling of I'm breaking a rule or a law, because I made an agreement with my illusion tool of ego to play pretend with this illusion, and the ego's doing its job. It's freaking out when it faces what it truly is, because, you know, it's like what I often talk about. Ego will always prove ego, but truth will always disprove ego, and it will always prove that ego isn't real and doesn't exist. So ego is going to freak out when facing our true self, because that, like, the ego does disappear with what we truly are, because the ego doesn't actually exist. Not that it's wrong or bad, and yes, we're to fully face and embrace it while we're playing with it, but then anchor onto the truth of it. So so that was really cool. And again, like, huge progress. The fact that I let that circle, that block that I've put up in front of our true self to fall away, like, that wouldn't have happened even a year ago. Well, I mean, it didn't happen till now. Again, time's not actually linear, but you know what I mean. So that, again, very grateful for that. And this light too. Oh, that's what I was going to say. This light, it was almost like it was more real than the light that's shining off of my lamp right now. Like, I've seen, like, when about a year or two or so after I moved into this place, um, I still have the illusion of anger within inside myself that I'm still working on melting away. With that, I have made progress on that. And when I first moved in, about, like I said, about a year or two, and I don't know if I've talked about this in one of my videos, but one of my previous videos, but I was in a, like, my illusion of my shit was really surface, and I was in the illusion of a really, really, like, livid. I was angry. And, like, it was the middle of the night. I wasn't yelling or anything, but inside myself I was livid. And again, I know I'm not the body with that. I'm very insecure about my body. I'm always making sure I'm completely covered, even with spirit, even if it's just a blanket. Like, I'm very, very, like, I'm working on it, but I'm very insecure about my avatar. Um, but I was so, like, this, just to kind of, like, show how angry I was just sitting on my bed completely naked, and I had, like, zero fucks. Like, I didn't care. I was that angry. And the next thing I know, and it's completely dark. I had no lights on. And all of a sudden, there's just this pure white, bright fucking light right in my eyes. Like, that's all I could see. Eyes open, eyes closed. I was rubbing my eyes, shaking my head. I couldn't get rid of it, and it was hurting. And I know that it was God, our source, our true self. I was being blasted with this light. Like, it was God, source, our true self I was seeing. And it makes sense that it was, like, hurting my eyes, because again, all pain and fear comes from resistance of what is. And I was in such an illusion of anger. So, like, that's all that was surfaced was anger, that of course it was gonna hurt. Right. So I've seen source like that. I've seen flashes of the white light in this, but this visual of God, source, or true self, like, I know, like, this was just the same as this right now. It was just as quote unquote real as this, actually more real, because it's God. Like, this is illusion, and that was God, our true self. But this light was, like, more vibrant. Like, this was the most vibrant I've seen of anything in any of my visuals, and even more vibrant than anything I've seen out of this, because it was, like, not just vibrant, but this ethereal vibrant. Like, it's hard to explain. Um, so that was really cool, and I'm really grateful for that, especially, like I said, with the fact that I let that dark circle fall away that was blocking so much of God, our true self. Like, huge progress with that. So I'm really grateful for that as well. And then the last thing that I wanted to share, now this was really interesting for me anyway. Today, or technically now yesterday, I was in the illusion of a really, really dark space. It was really not a good day. In the illusion, really not a good day. Like, I won't get into it, but it was a really not good day. I ended up on the phone with a friend, which I'm really grateful for. We talked through some of it, and I wasn't feeling 100% by any means when we got off the phone, but I was definitely, like, a step up from where I had been, which I really appreciate. He helped me help myself with that. And then I went into bed. I got sleepy, and I went to lay down, and as I was kind of like, I wasn't in a place where I was falling asleep quite yet, but I was, I was laying there and not really, I wasn't really in a meditative space, but I was, my shit was starting to surface again, not to the same extent, but it was starting to go back a little bit into that space that I'd been before I'd been on the phone. Like I said, I was still not okay, but I was a stepped up a little bit. But I was starting to fall back again, and I went into a space where I, focused in on God, and um again, I know what it's to say, to turn to God and say, help me. I know I am one with God and it's me helping myself. I do that with that acknowledgement, but I just went into this space where, like, nothing out loud in my mind, I went to say in my mind, help me. I might have went to say, God help me, but I know I went to say the words help me. And in my mind, as I went to open my mouth and say that, instead of the words help me coming out, it was this song. And it was just, okay, so this song, it wasn't like actual words. It was, like in movies and shows when like you hear like the angel sing and it's like that ah. I'm not gonna try and actually sing it, but it's like the AH and the ah vocalized singy ah in one long note. It was like that, but it wasn't the one long note. It was the ah, and it was that kind of sound, but it was varied notes. Like I want to say it was a song, but it wasn't separate words and it wasn't one long note, but it was that same ah, but like varying notes. I can't sing, so it wouldn't sound right anyway. And even if I could sing, I don't know if I would. I'm not in a space where I've allowed enough for me to be able to vocalize it properly. What I can say about it is it hit me so strong because like I said, this just I in my mind I went to open my mouth and I went to like I opened my mouth in my mind and I went to say the words help me, and it just came out in this song, and I felt like the angel's spirit, which is God, our true self, but it looks and feels like spirit, singing this with me. It was like we were singing it together, and the feeling was it was just of, and I can still feel it. It's like we all have this song inside of ourselves. This is, and it's not just inside, and we've just forgotten. We've just forgotten this song, but it's not just a song. It's like it's part, it's so, I'm asking for help with my words, with words for this, but it's almost like it's beyond words because it's almost like it's a part of our true self. It's like a part of our being, this song. I keep wanting to say, I keep using the word like a signature, but it's not, especially not individual. But this song, it's like a part of who we are. It's everyone has this song inside themselves, especially because we're all one. But this song, it was a song that we have inside ourselves and we've forgotten. And this song, it was an alternative to the words help me, and it was like a calling in, an allowing of God, our true self, but it is a part of God, our true self, and we're all singing it together. It's so hard to explain, but it was very ethereal and very it's, again, our I wish the telepathy that we truly have was online so you guys could just see and feel it, because then you'll be like, holy shit. Because these words are so little compared to what this was. I cannot express to you how natural, like I would have never, like that wasn't, I had no intention of trying to sing. I was literally in my head, like opened my mouth to say help me, and instead I started singing this song. I don't know what other word to use for it. These notes, this tune, I don't know, but it was, like I said, beyond natural, and I can just feel like this is we all have this inside ourselves and we just forgot, and there's something big about this too, because it's a part of what we truly are. So I just we're at 44 minutes, 44. um, so I should that's all I wanted to say. I was trying not to be too long, but hopefully you guys found this interesting, and I wanted to share because I know I share a lot of my shit. I know I'm in a lot of waves very often of a lot of illusion where I'm in the illusion of really not doing well, and I'm miserable and I'm angry and I'm jaded and all this stuff. At the same time, on the flip side, I do have a lot of cool stuff happening and starting to come online for me, and I'm not necessarily seeing it when it comes to my social life and, my work life and, just different aspects on the external like that. At the same time, all this stuff that's more within and in my own, in the beyond sense, that's starting to really, when I'm in between these waves, that stuff's really starting to get stronger, in various ways. And these are just some of the examples of what I've been quote unquote experiencing. There's been more, um, but I can do another video another day. And some of it feels a little personal to share right now, even though, like, what's personal? Um, but I wanted to share this stuff because there is, and that's just it. Like, the external doesn't even exist, so it makes sense that, because it is all within, and so it would make sense, like, this is the stuff that we're working on bringing online, is this ethereal, the beyond the real, and then eventually the external will reflect that. So right now I'm bringing online the stuff that, I can't necessarily give proof to anybody about because it's not necessarily happening externally in the sense of like this tangible physical way where I can show somebody, here's the evidence of what is real and this is what's going on and this is what's happening. But I do have this stuff happening, and it's just, again, this is results of the work I've been putting in on myself, and I wouldn't be here allowing this stuff if I hadn't been putting this work in. And I'm just hoping that, again, I know that this is all for myself. This is because this is a dream I'm making up. With that being said, in this dream, if an other comes across this, especially if someone is in the illusion of really struggling, feeling like they want out, really angry and jaded and, all this stuff, and nothing, and where they don't fit into what the spiritual community has put, the box that the spiritual community is made up for what you're supposed to look like as spiritual. I don't fit in that box. I've had multiple people tell me that I'm not like any other medium, and I need to be a lot more calm and peaceful because I'm not like what mediums are like, and I don't act like a real medium, and I don't speak like a real medium, and I need to pull my energy back, and I need to do this and I need to do that. And that, again, those are reflections of my, like, different stuff about myself, and I recognize that. um Within my illusion, that's them trying to box me in. And it's, we're not to judge or anything like that. My point in saying that is, you don't have to look a certain way or speak a certain way or be a certain way in order to be spiritual, in order to allow these things. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to spend money, you don't have to, it's, everything you need is right here within yourself. I live in a small, tiny ass apartment. Like, my apartment is laughably small. It's basically a box under the ground. I don't have nature I can really go out and sit in, especially quietly like I used to right before. And as I hit my awakening, like, that was ripped from me. There's almost constant noise. I don't have the money to go anywhere. All I've got is myself. Like, even right now, I'm filming this on my phone, and it's on a pile of blankets, and there's a Kleenex box underneath the one blanket, just trying to try and raise it up. I don't have anything fancy. I don't have a lot of money. I'm in the illusion of poverty. I can't go to Mount Shasta. I can't go join all these circles and do this and do that, but you don't need it. None of that stuff's needed. We're not to judge it, but my foot's getting tickled. We're not to judge it, but we don't need it. This sounds judgmental. It's not meant to be, but it's ego lie bullshit. to have to go somewhere, to have to spend money on something, to have to utilize any kind of tools. Like I've even my cards back there. Ego lie bullshit in a sense, not needed. These aren't needed. But it's not that it's actual bullshit. It's just that it's, you know, these are just our illusion tools that we've made up to help us do what we can already do just with ourselves. And we're remembering that. So my point in going into all of that is again that I'm hoping that anyone who comes across this and is in like similar, not very, but like similar or very similar, you know, scenarios and whatnot as myself, you know, where you might not have a lot of money, or, you know, you might be in a space where you understand now that things like sage and crystals don't actually affect us, or, you know, you might talk with more conviction rather than being really quiet, and you might have that same pull that I have to not hide your shit because we can't hide, and, you know, like, you know, or if you look and feel like a mess, because I look and feel like a mess, you know, it's that illusion of chaos. And if you don't feel like you fit into the box that the spiritual community has created, saying that we need to fit into in order to be spiritual, showing you guys like that's okay that you don't fit in that box. You don't need to fit into that box. That box doesn't even exist. That's again an ego lie. And again, not wrong or bad, but I'm here to, again, first reminders for myself, but then with you guys, like just that reminder of you can look and feel like a mess. You can be chaotic, and you can fucking swear, and you can eat all the fucking junk food you fucking want to eat. You want a huge ass fucking pizza and eat your fucking cake with it, go eat your fucking cake. You know, who gives a flying fuck? The only thing that fucking matters is how you fucking feel about it and what you fucking think about it. A word is a fucking word. You know, everything is just energy playing as we allow. Now, again, like I talk about, there's that illusion of balance. I'm not about to eat McDonald's every day, all day, because I'm in the illusion that would be really bad for me. So I'm not going to do that. But it's just the point. My point that I'm trying to make is if you don't fit, if you're not fitting into this box that the spiritual community has placed on spirituality, that's okay. And even with that, if I'm judging where I feel like there is a box that the spiritual community has made up, I need to work on that, because again, it's all playing as I'm allowing it, and it's all my reflections, and I recognize that. So I'm hoping this is helpful and my videos are helpful, because I'm working on not needing the external validation, and, you know, just doing this for myself. You know, and where was I going to go with that? I don't know. My point is, I am working on doing this for myself. With that, I do hope this is helpful to any quote unquote other that comes across this. And yeah, just know that even if it looks like you're not making any progress, just keep on keeping on, keep doing the mental cleanup, keep working on surrendering, keep fulling and facing, embracing and being playful with where you're at, keep sitting with truth, and keep anchoring onto truth is true. Embrace where we're playing pretend at, but anchor onto the truth. And you will get there. Like it's just amazing the stuff that when I'm in a good space and I'm allowing more of what's real through in between these waves, it is so cool what's starting to come online. Like I said, some of the stuff I've tried, like OBEs, I've tried to do my entire life, and I haven't been able to. Not my entire life, not since I was a little kid, but I think since I was about a teenager, I've been trying to OBE. But since I started doing my mental cleanup and doing this stuff, it's happening. And not even that, like everything I just said. So anyway, I'm rambling. I need to shut up. I've just been rambling for almost 10 minutes trying to wrap up. I'm sorry. But I hope you guys find this helpful and maybe even enjoyable. I don't know, but I at least hope you find it helpful. So if you watched all of this and listened to it, thank you. And I'm here if you guys have questions and whatnot. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, thank you. I appreciate you all very much. And I think that's where we're going to leave it at. All right. So thank you. I love you. And as always, have a wonderful now.